Good afternoon, everyone. I'm just popping my gloves on. Welcome. I am going to just do some stitching on one of these pre-printed panels that I had in stock. I'm going to just adjust the camera a little. I think I've got it too high, so bear with me while I lower her down. It's a bit high. All right. So these pre-printed Highlandette designs I got from the States, and I have more coming in. I do have some of this one in stock, that design. If you're interested in a couple, they're only $12 per design. They're about 16.5 inches wide, square. Now, there's straight lines on here. Now, I can't quite see what you're talking about, so might be a case of I'm stopping and starting just to have a look at what you're saying, if you're asking me any questions. The thread I've got in here is called Glamour from Wonderfil, and I'll show you. That's the one I'm using. A bit dusty. So that's it there. Okay. Yeah, absolutely, Joe. This one is number, oh, good question, 4141. Yep, 4141. That's the one I'm using. They are 30 weight, I'm pretty sure. 12 weight, sorry, and 300 yards, my bad. They are a metallic rayon. I call them the what they call them, the glitter thread. So I've got my free motion foot on. As you can see, it's pushing down, so I'm just going to lift my foot up. I can do that with this foot. It's quite durable that way. And once I start stitching, I will have to move the foot down. You can see how it starts to push it down straight away. Got my gloves on. If you don't have a pair of these, you need to get yourself a pair of these Marcia Baraldi's from my store. Now I'm just going to start here because that's just a point of join, like a point, and I'm going to just follow these around. The only part I'm going to try and use a ruler for will these be. These are really long straight lines. So I'm just going to whip my jumper off because I can tell I'm going to have a hot in the middle of all this. Now, so I've done needle down, needle up. I haven't got it going very fast because with this thread you really can't go overly fast. Now I use a stop start. As you can see, I don't actually have a foot. There's no foot down here. It's just me using the button here, stop and start. So every now and then my hand might get in the way, and I apologise now, but I might actually move this around this way. You might get a better visual there from the front. There we go. Whoops, that was my foot. All right, so you can see once I start doing some stitching down, you can see that it starts pushing the fabric down, and I need to adjust my foot. Now, for myself, I'm quite happy just to cut off. You might want to bury thread. That's all fine. Everyone's different. But what you'll notice is I'm not piecing. I'm not doing this. I've got my hands within this space here, and they're flat because the gloves make me do that. So these babies, just like that. And I am just steadily going around. Now, if I was to go extremely fast with this, then it would shred more often. It's likely to shred a little bit here and there because it's going through so many layers, and I didn't get time to change my needle because I decided 15-20 minutes ago that I would do a live today at 2 o'clock. So you can see it's quite slow, quite steady. Now these lines will wash out, unlike the ones that I printed out on my printer for you from my drawings. They won't wash out, so you do need to make sure that you do lots of sketchy applique or drawing with your needle. The idea of these things is to try and not do the stopping and cutting and repositioning and that all the time. Just keep going all the way around till you get back to where you start. Now, I have made contact with the lady who does these, and it looks like I most likely will be able to get mine. I've just got to contact her about cost involved and stuff. Mine might be able to be done in the same product, so on black with a white line. Just I suppose it depends whether they can do it being that detailed. So if you do need to adjust your hands, always keep one hand on the piece. Don't ever take both hands away before that needle stops in the down position. Alright, so you can see, we're starting to get there, okay? Just like I bought one. Now if you go off the lines, don't stress, those lines will wash away, it's no biggie. I do like to work where I can see. Some people can work back to front and upside down, not me so much. I tend to like to work where I can see in front unless I am in a real moment and I can't. So we will just continue on. So this is as exciting as it gets. I mean, you can add stuff to these, you can paint them, why not? I think painting is amazing, and we will be doing some painting with the Great Australian Craft Show number 7. I will be making sure that we have some craft demos with painting your fabrics, and this might even come up as one of the ones to be painted. Now you can see, because I've got an open toe foot, I can really see where that needle's going to land. That's a bit of a bonus with an open toe foot. When you've got a closed toe foot, it tends to be a little bit harder and can be a bit of a hit and miss sometimes. It's a bit harder to see. So I'm just going to stop there and reposition. Okay, and see it's starting to come ahead. Alright, so we've pretty much done one. Once I do this, it's basically one, and we're going to continue on. I'd like to think that because I've got this slower, and you can hear it cracking it because I'm going backwards, that it won't shred the thread as much, but that all depends on what my machine decides to do today. So these designs are not yet on my website, but like I said, I do have a massive order coming in of a whole heap of different types and colours, so you'll be able to see them on my website, fingers crossed. I don't think they'll get here by GACS, but I'm pretty sure they will get here within the next 3 to 4 weeks. So if this is something you'd like to give it a go, it's a great way to practice your free motion without having to draw anything or do any designs. And I'm going to reposition my hands in my fabric. You can see it's starting to come along. Hi Stella, hi Rado. So it's making that nice chunky noise because of all the metallic. And probably a blunt needle doesn't help. I do that a lot. Alright, so now I'm going to work around here. And I seriously think that some paint in this will look amazeballs. Just deciding what to paint in it, that's all. How to paint it. I'll have to have a look at it for the next week. And where to paint. So you notice I've got no pins, nothing holding these 3 layers. I've got the I've got 2 layers of wadding because I'd like it a little bit fluffier. Since it's a little bit fluffier, so I've got 2 layers of the wadding, right? And nice little surprise, isn't it? Yeah. No backing, just the 2 bits of wadding and the top. Okay. Can put a backing if I wanted to. Probably make it a little bit smoother to move, but I can do that afterwards once I've painted it, and then I want to stitch in the painted areas around this. I can then stitch in black thread or whatever colour thread it is. I've decided to paint it, and that will create my quilted piece. So this will look like an embroidery. So you saw my hand was a little bit further, this hand was a little bit too far over, so I moved it. As soon as it goes out of my comfort zone of being within that throat space near the needle, I need to move. You'll feel it in your arm and your hand that you've got very little amount of control. Oops, it is. The other trick with metallic is do not sit in the same spot for too long, as it will chunky out, or chunked out. I'm just using a polyester wadding as well, just 100% polyester, 2 layers like I said. So you can see my hands don't lift up and treat it like a piece, like a piecing. The only time I lift up is to reposition, not to move the fabric around as such, just to better access my grip, get a better hold on the fabric. Nice flat hands, good for those shoulders. So I'm going to stop at that little point there. It's a good place to stop. Don't try and stop on the curve. The curve, you'll end up making a wobbly curve. I got up at 6 a.m. for an online class this morning, daylight savings time, so it was an hour early. Oh no! Hey Sonia, yeah, doing really well, love. Very busy as usual. So repositioning the hands. It's the beauty of these gloves. They make life so much easier when you're free motion quilting. It takes the hard out of it. Really does. And taking that foot off, I think the combination of the two, and if you've got a slider mat as well, if you find that the base of your machine is a little bit like grabs a little bit, get yourself a slider mat. They can also help as well. The base of this machine is pretty damn good, so I don't need one, but on my other machine I do. My hand's getting close, so it's almost time for me to reposition. So don't be frightened of these. These are really not that frightening. I mean, like, I get a lot of people say I make it look easy. Yeah, I probably do. But in saying that, if you go off the line, who cares? No one's going to know once you've washed away those lines. I mean, I certainly haven't stayed on the lines perfectly, but you know, if I don't point that mistake out to anyone, or those little indiscretions, then no one's going to know the difference. And just knot it up there. I'm going to cut off. So we're looking cheaper and threads, so we don't practice as much as we. Yeah, exactly. What? How do? Oh, I started with a placement. Then Michelle showed us how to do it, but cannot seem to get the movement right for bigger pieces. Still working on it. Stella, okay, best to jump in or sit down, just being daunted by. Yeah, Stella, just have you got the stop-start thing, or you're using a foot pedal? Yeah, I use those cheaper threads when you're practicing. So do the lines, wash out them. These ones, yes, they do, Stella. Yep. I've only got a couple of these in stock at this design for the moment until the other lot comes in. But they're only $12, so they're not very expensive. And they're a great block that you can put into a quilt. So I'm just going to open that up. I'm just going to pull it, give it a bit of length. Because it's metallic, it'll sort of grab, and because I don't have a backing on it, it'll grab also. So I'm just taking that thread off. In the bobbin, I'm actually using a pre-wound, no stop-start button. Yeah, you'll probably find, Stella, that if you had a machine doing the stop-start, you would find it 100 times easier because it's one less motor skill. You're not thinking about where your foot is, what it's doing, whether it's sitting right, whether you've relaxed off it, you know, whether your stitches are the same length. It just seems to work right. Okay, so again, in the down position, needle down, always in a point. So in one of these points, don't start out here on an open line. And I'm going to come around that way, so I'm going to move my thread over because it will get in the way. Hold on to him. Just double back on myself. Now, these ones being on the outside, I'm just going to stop in that next point. There we go. These ones will be a bit harder because there's a big gap between this point and all the way around to the other one. Okay, David said he knows where my stop-start button is and it's stopped. David, she needs a new machine. Be a good hubby. Off you go. I don't want to hear another word about it. All right, let's go. Now, if you do need to stop here, just make sure that when you do start off again, you do 1 or 2 stitches in the same position. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to stop here and just reposition this around so that I can keep going around. Now, if I was to just all of a sudden start and then just move the fabric straight away, I will actually end up with this funny looking dog leg thing because we tend to, oh, you know, if I keep it still and then start stitching, less chance of a dog leg. So a couple of stitches in the same spot and then just move on. Do it again. Stop in that position. All right. Who's laughing? Stop laughing, David. I can hear you. All right. She needs a nice Janome 80. It needs to stop-start button, as many frills as you can afford. That's exactly right. Actually, more frills than you can afford. What you need to watch is that you have a stop-start button. If you're looking at a new machine, you have a cut off, oops, like that. Didn't want to do that. You have a cut off. I didn't do it anyway, that's good. you also have the ability to put a table on and have room to free motion, and watch the width of this. So you don't want anything that's, you know, here, because it's too small for you to be able to stuff a quilt through. All right, so have something that's, you know, 9 to 11, 12, 13 inches. Just bear with me, I'm live, so yeah, so I've just had someone walk in. So I'm going to, did you find them? Yeah. So I'm going to keep going around to the next spot. So see how I started in that position with a couple of little stitches without moving my fabric. So if I stop on here, and I've gone off the line, but I don't care, I'm good with that. But if I stop here because I need to get to here, I can actually couple of stitches in the same spot and then move. If you do it the other way around and start moving before you really have control of that, you're going to end up with that silly looking dog leg thing. What do you have underneath? So Suzanne, I have 2 layers of wadding. It's just poly and the top, that's it. I haven't got a backing under it, so bear with me. There's someone in the room filling up water and stuff, and I know that you'll be able to hear all that, so. All right, so if I stop, I try and stop on a point. But like I say, if you do have one of these big sweeping ones and you need to stop in the middle, make sure you do, when you press start or put your foot down, you do a couple of stitches and then move your fabric, all right? If you do it, yeah, you'll just end up with this horrible, which I won't show you, the dog leg thing, because I don't want one. How's that? So again, I'll show you here. If I've stopped here because I want to reposition and get my hands in the right position because they were out or over here, go start, 1, 2, and then keep moving. All right, not the other way around. Getting a machine too that can take an open toe foot is really worthwhile. It's really worth its weight in gold, especially if you're wanting to quilt. David, just think about all the money she will save, or you will save, I should say, when she doesn't have to send them out to quilting. So I'm just going to lift the needle and lift the foot and just trim them off manually. I did a few stitches there. I'm going to grab this thread and pull from the top down. There we go. Just trim that. I think I've got the bottom one at the same time. Did I? Don't I? No. Just trim that off. So that's that one done. So now we just do, we've got 3 more to go, and then this outside bit and then that edge. How much of the poly, please? I only have wool batting. Yeah, sure, Deb. Yeah, absolutely. I'll pop one aside for you. The the poly batting's only $18 a meter. The cotton, 100% cotton, is 23, and my wool is 28. The printed panels, Marcella, sorry, I should say, I only have this one available. I'll actually double check while you guys are there. I think I've only got the 2 until the new order comes. Oh no, I've got 3. I've got 3. So Deb Gawley's got one. Sorry. And Marcel, that's them now. They're $12, and I've got 2 more in stock until the next. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got 3 more, my bad. Just making a wet nappy bag for Eve to put Clara's wet nappies in. Have a good day sewing and getting your face done. Nice. How much is a poly? Yep, so Rado got that price. Good. So while we're talking and stuff, I'm just going to put Deb's name on this just while we're doing it. Done, so I don't sell it on to anyone else. Yeah, it will. Could I have a panel, Helen Renneman? Yeah, sure, Helen. So there's 2 more of these babies. This one. The one you're getting is 18 by 18. Renneman. Man. Silly woman. I knew what I meant what I knew. I'll pop that with your other thing, Helen. Could I get 2, please? How do I pay? Marcel, send me your email and postal address and I will send you an invoice. You can have the last 2, Marcel. So I'm just writing your name on the plastic. All right, so just like I said, there's more coming in a couple of weeks' time when they come from the States. The thread that I'm using is this one. So this is called Glamour. It's 12 weight. It's got a nice bling to it, as you can see. And it's also a bit thicker than normal thread, so it actually really fills the spot on the lines, okay? I'll show you it up a little bit closer so you can see, okay? So if you're after that, that is number 4141. And I do have a huge amount of colours, we'll say huge, probably about 30 different colours of those. So if you're after a different colour, you can always message me and let me know. All right, let's keep going. I like to get this done in one sitting. So needle down. I'm just going to hang on to it and do a stitch backwards and forwards just to hang on to it. And because I'm going in this direction, I want that in that direction. And let's start. So if you don't have a pair of these amazing gloves made by Marcia Baraldi, I supply them here in Australia. You really need to get yourself a set of these if you're going to do free motion quilting. Ask the girls who've already bought them from me what they're like, because, you know, obviously I sell them, so you're not going to believe me. No, I'm joking. So ask the girls who've used them. They don't get paid anything to tell you what they're like, but the other girls who've used them have enjoyed them, and they will tell you honestly whether they're good or bad or worth their money. So see how I need to reposition because my hands were getting out of the way. There you go, Stella. I see Helen released the Magic Mushroom class as an online class, so guessing your face-to-face class isn't going ahead. No, it looks like I have to contact her. Still have to do that. Looks like we'll be doing it virtually. I'll talk to her sometime during the week. I don't want to ring her on the weekend. Heather, the gloves are 42 now. They've unfortunately gone up a bit with the Australian dollar and the postage. But yeah, look, they are worth their absolute weight in gold. And I wouldn't use anything else. I have 2 pairs just in case I lose one. I keep another one with me. Sometimes I forget that I've got them on and I end up in the bathroom or cooking or whatever, or in the kitchen trying not to cook, and then realise I've got them on. Many a time I've gone to the toilet. Can I have a pair of gloves added to my order? Francis Shaw. Yeah, so honestly, the girls will tell you whether they're worth their money. Let me just grab a pair, Francis. Otherwise, I might just get a piece of paper and write these down. Otherwise, I will forget. You know what I'm like. Can I ring you tomorrow, Marcel? Yes, absolutely. So Francis. And just, oh, they're really, 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 really comfortable gloves. Would the gem round thread be okay for? Absolutely, Joe. You just it'll just be a thinner line, okay. And if you want it thicker, you might have to go around a couple of times, but you know it doesn't have to either. It can just be a nice thin line, because once you wash them, and there is instructions in how to wash them. Once you wash it and that to get the lines out, it doesn't matter whether this is a thick line or thin line. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Deb, you want a pair as well? Sure, love. No worries. Could I please get my invoice? Jody, yes, I've done all the others except for pickup, so I'm going to do them this afternoon after 5, so I will do them today. All right, starting in the middle of a sort of straight line, so get it going a couple of times before moving. And we've done the second one. So we've got 2 more of these to do. And you can see they don't take too long. Back and forth a couple of times just to lock off. Needle up, foot up, and let's trim that off. I do, again, like I say, need to pull it down because it's metallic. It won't just run through freely without a fight. It'll get twisted up. Everyone does these things differently. If you want to... sorry, I've just got my fat hand in the way. If you want to bury your threads and stuff like that, go for your life. Me, I don't have time for things like that. Hence the reason why I do very little hand sewing these days, which I love to do, very relaxing, but I just don't have the time. Just get that thread out from under there. The bobbin I'm using is called Decobob, very lightweight. It is to paint this panel before stitching if that's what one decides to do. Either way, it depends on how steady you are with a brush. So who was that? Rado. You can paint it for sure, Rado. If you think you've got a steady hand and you can get in between, you know, right up to the stitches. Personally, I probably would still paint it whether I've stitched it or not. But yeah, it's a personal choice as well. That's going to bring up the bobbin. There's my bobbin. It's a bit longer this time, not cut off. Oh, we've got a bit of a shredding going on there. It's separated. There we go. Just going to pull it through the needle a little bit more. Might do it up here. It's the other thing with the Janome, Stella, for Dave's information, you can actually open the front of the Janome so that you can get in there and clean, and this bit here, if you need to see what's happening with that uptake arm at any given time, while your thread comes undone or whatever, you can see. A lot of other machines don't do that, not without taking them to a mechanic. All right, needle down. All right, hold on to him. The needle I'm using is a size 90 superior needle, titanium based, so it takes the punishment that I dish out regularly. All right, I might just go this way, just trim off that thread because I did a bit of a knot there to start with. Get it out of the way. Swing it this way. And I'm going to love my Lumiere paints. Yes, Deb, I'm going to have a go at them on this. And the other thing I was thinking too is because some of these are coming in different colours, I'm wondering how the Inktense pencils would work really, how they would work. I reckon they would look really, really lovely because they would give you a really nice shadowing and value, yeah, colour value. I also have, and I've ordered some more Lumieres, so I'll have the packs of those in. I was hoping it would be here by now, and I'm hoping it's going to be here before GAX, because I wanted to be demonstrating it, and I don't want to demonstrate anything that I don't have in stock, if that makes sense, because the first thing people ask me is, where do I get it? See, I made a bit of a blunder on the inside of that one, but like I say, once I take away these lines, big deal. And besides, I've told people that if they do interfere and comment on my crappy stitching, oh, this thread's beautiful, Helen, it really is. If anyone comments on how crap I was over there, that's it, they're off my Christmas card list. Even my Christmas card email list, that's it, off. Alright, so I don't have a Christmas card email or list because I'm really bad at anything like birthdays, Easter, Christmas, and remembering. So I just tell friends that don't expect me to remember. Doesn't mean I don't love you any less. So because I've done this when I do the stop start, and I've done those few little stitches in the one spot, you really can't tell where I have started to reposition my hands. I'm going to open this up again and just pull that thread down just to give it a bit of little length. Take that off. I mean, you could do thread work and paint this if you want. You do it in variegated thread, anything. Oh, I'll go this way because I'm used to doing it this way now. Foot down. That crunching noise you can hear in the background is Candy underneath my legs. Are you still getting the use? I love Inktense pencils. I love, love, love them, and I love using them on fabric. They are a technique all to themselves because they are very, very similar to using watercolor. Very unforgiving. They're like they're a pencil or a block, and they're like using, it's like using watercolor, but they color fast on fabric. And they're from Derwent. You'd have to get on Google and have a look, and you'll see what you can do with them. The stuff that people do with them are absolutely amazing, Stella. So even when I have to lift my hand, I do a couple of stitches in one spot, because to keep moving this fabric with only one hand would not be a good idea. It would make me go well off the line and well out of sync with what I'm doing. You can see that was a little bit bubbly there, so I just manipulated that fabric as I went. And we go back the other way. So with a project this size, you don't need to pin it. You really don't. It's a myth that you have to pin everything. This is just a small project, and really doesn't need all those extra pins and things getting in your way. It's bad enough your own hands get in the way. So it looks like the Shepherd and Craft Alive event is going ahead in February next year. And guess who's going to have a stall? Oh, that's all right, Jodie. So in other words, don't make a mistake with those pencils. No, don't. No, not if unless you want not unless you want it to be there permanently. I wouldn't go making a mistake with them. They are unforgiving. All right, so let's just chop that off. Close that. Snip that. Come on, snip, snip. I keep grabbing the warding. There we go. All right, now we're up to the next step. You see how easy this is? This is not rocket science. We're just working our way from the center out. One corner at a time. So I make sure that that's not shredded around that needle, which it's not. It's under there, foot down. I might grab it again just so I can hold on to him. Needle down, needle up. And because I've got the open toe, I can see exactly where my needle is going to go. If you're one of the lucky people who has a little red dot there, lucky you. Me, I need an open toe foot. Now, it's going to come around, or I'm going to come around, which means that thread is going to eventually get in my way. So I'm definitely going to trim it off. All right, let's go. Keep moving. Otherwise we'll be here forever. And the idea of these things too is to actually do it in one go, as in not stop start all the time, not cut off your thread like I said earlier today, so that you're not rethreading or feeding. Like I've really only stopped every time I've actually finished one whole area. Okay, so I'm going to go right up to here, and then I'm just going to keep going all the way around until I get back to where I started. And then I'm going to start over in another point and then go all the way around and do the top side of it. So I'm going to do the bottom, even though that looks like it wants me to do one corner, I'm not going to do that because that means I'm going to cut off 4 times. Or I'm using PUL fabric. It's really cute patterns to make the nappy wet bag. That will, another UFO done. Nice. See, that's what happens, Jodie, when you live in town. You get visitors all the time. I don't get them very often. And when I do, they normally ring because it's a bit of a way to come out. So doing it the way I'm going to do it means that I'm only stop and starting, as in cutting off my thread, when I once for the one side and once for the other, so 2 times instead of, well, total would be like 4 times because of the corners. But realistically, you stop once and start once, so you've got 2 each time, so you double it. That makes sense, but anyway. So this hand over here is getting a little bit further out, which is why I went off the line a bit. So I'm just going to stop. Cheryl, can you please show me, and the others might be interested, the palm side of those gloves? Yeah, that's them. Like a round thing. Mine came yesterday, so all good today. Your what, Stella? What came today? Unless hubby wants lunch. Yeah, well, I might have missed half of that conversation, so I'll keep going. You guys have a chat. So what you'll notice is using the double layer of wadding will create a little bit of a trapunto-ish type look, little bit. To get a better effect of that, really and truly need to stitch 1,000 times over, really, really tight stitching in between all these. So in the other areas. So the negative space, I'd call that negative space. That's your positive space because that's your design. Oh, okay, yep. Sorry. Oh, still it's got visitors. Okay, so it's all good today. Visitors. Oh, yep, good. Stop start. So Celeste hubby wants lunch. Well, that's true. Well, see, mine wouldn't be daring enough to ask me to make him lunch. He'd be told that his arms and legs aren't painted on and go make his bloody own. Mean woman, aren't I? Oh, you ladies are too good. See, these blokes don't realise how good they've got it. So when I get to here, instead of travelling all the way around to finish that curl off, I'm going to come over and keep going to the next one. That makes sense to you? Oh, yeah, Suzanne, he's well and truly sport. We had a very late cooked breakfast, so he should be okay for a bit longer. Give him a gobstopper. What are they called? Those lollipop things. Willy Wonka one. We've been nearly 20 years married, and mine still wouldn't dare, even from the time we first married. Because I've always been, you know, working or whatever. If I was home all the time and wasn't working flat out, and, you know, I'd think about it, maybe. No, I wouldn't. I'm mean. I can see it's starting to get a bit gathered, so I'm going to just stretch that out a little bit, or press it out a little bit just to reduce any creasing. And we've done another one. Just keep going. Even if I was inside, he wouldn't ask me. He'd be Rado, stop start button on the machine. Yes. So yes. Michelle, I know you make it look, yeah. Yeah, the stop start button's here. We're married for 48 years. Yeah, look, honestly, mine wouldn't even dare, because I just look at him like he's got 3 heads. Actually, if he says to me, what are we having for dinner, he gets looked at with like he's got 3 heads. Yeah, he needs to be very self-sufficient. I'm just too busy. Excuse me. All right, now we're going to do the outside one. Now, if I was even smarter, because, you know, I'm not quite that smart. If I had started here, right, this point here, mine would starve. Now, mine would cook eggs. Go all the way around like I just did, and then get back to this point, and then I could have just kept going around. It would have been one stop and start. Oh, I know. Oh, I know. I've told him from day dot. I'm no one's housewife. I've always been a businesswoman. I tell a lie. I've always been busy, so I can do it. And at one point I would have, probably when I was younger, but now, no, not happening. All right, so just get in that spot, that point where I stopped and turned. And I'm going to do a couple of little knots and go. And I'll move away from that a little and then I can trim it off. And you notice I didn't take my hands off until that needle was in the complete down position. Just give it that tiny little bit of white thread. Yeah, KFC's good 40 minutes for us, I'm afraid. Mine would, he'd just do eggs. We've got chooks, so he would go and do eggs on toast. If we had eggs at any point, he would never starve because he knows how to cook them. Other than that, he'd probably burn water. Right, around we go. One thing I have done before, and I do tend to do if I know that I'm going to be busy, you know, over a period of time, I will actually pre-cook meals and freeze them. And he loves that. Oh, he thinks he's well and truly spoiled. Hey? See, I've got him completely bluffed. Oh, dear. Although, I did have him tricked for about 3 years. He thought he was 45 and he was only 42. Sometimes he's just not quite the sharpest tool in the shed. And I'd forgotten all about the trick. And he turned 45. And I said to him, you know, happy birthday, you're 45 now. Because I told him one day, eggs are good. We do not eat as many eggs as you, Michelle. I don't know anyone who has them. Cooking and freezing is the best way to take away at home. Yeah, so one time when we lived in Port Hedland, I told him that, because he was telling everyone, you know, they were all saying that he was, you know, he looked really good and how old he was. And he goes, oh, I don't know, I'll ask me missus. So he asked me and I told him, I said, oh, you're 45, you know, and he was only 42 or something, I don't know, younger than that. Anyway, he was telling people for about 3 years that he was 42 or 43. No, 45, sorry, and 46 and 47 or something like that. And I just looked at him one day and it was 45th birthday. I said to him, you know, happy birthday, you're 45 now. And he said, 45? He said, no, I'm older than that. I said, no, you're not. And he said, but you told me I was 45, about 3 years ago. And I just started laughing. I said, are you serious? I said, what year are we in? And he said, whatever year it was. And I said, what year were you born in? And he told me the year. And I said, same year as me. And I just looked at him. I said, do the math. I said, you've only just turned 42 now, or 45 now. And he goes, you biatch. He said, I've been telling everyone. I said, well, that's not my fault. You're stupid enough to believe me. I torment him. See, I'm mean wife. I had him bluffed for years. Poor bugger. And then he had to go and tell everyone that he was just 45 now, and he didn't look as young as he thought he was for the age he was. He thought he was doing really well. It was pretty funny. That's one of my cruel moments with my husband. You see this right arm is starting to get out of place. It must be, oh, you do things like that, Michelle? Yeah, I've got a friend of mine too, and she had her husband bluffed for years, 10 years on something. She had a plant in the bathroom, and it's a really nice, lovely fern, and it was over the top of the bath, or the, you know, over a wet area, and she said to her husband, you know, just make sure you look after this, you know, make sure you water it, because he looked after the inside house plants and stuff like that. Anyway, so he made sure he watered it for 10 years. And one day they started renovating the bathroom, and he said, oh, I've got to move that. And she said, yeah, go ahead, move it. And of course she'd forgotten all about it. So he went ahead and moved it. As he picked it up, he just about flew it up over his shoulder. It was plastic. He'd been watering a plastic plant for 10 years. Thanks, Karen. They think differently to us. It's so easy to fall. Oh, yeah, Michelle, it's really, really easy to get him. I do it to him all the time. I'm horrible. Mean. He just looks at me and he shakes his head and he goes, I'm so not going there with you. He said, I know I'm going to lose that fight. Because he goes, you're just going to throw logic at it, aren't you? You're just going to throw logic at it, and that's just going to ruin everything. Excuse me. Are you controlling the stitch length when you move it? So you practice lots of stitch length as you. So yeah. So Karen, I'm just moving. That's mean but funny. I know, Stella. Yeah. So I'm just moving because I'm using the stop-start button and I'm not using my foot pedal. I don't have a foot pedal on. So I've got my machine speed set at a certain speed, which sort of acts like a regulator, because oh, yours is smarter than mine. A regulator, so because my hands will move at a certain speed all the time. So depending on what I'm doing, what thread I'm doing, as to what speed, excuse me, I'll set it at. But that helps to keep it regular, okay? And that helps with that speed thing and the stitch length. So I might be making it look easier than probably is, but it is practice. Small bits each day. You will find yourself doing just like this in no time. It's just repetition. It's a muscle movement. It's getting your head to do the right thing, getting your hands to do the right thing. But having a machine that has a stop-start button, take your foot pedal out and have a play. You will absolutely thank me. Also, I think, Karen, having these gloves, and the girls will tell you, we've talked about these earlier, having my hands nice and flat, keeping them in that nice, comfy position, it reduces that tension. It stops me from, trying to grip and hold on to it with a monkey grip, which, means I've got a nice smooth movement. The base of this machine, as I said earlier, is quite smooth, so I don't need a slip mat or slider mat. But if the base of your machine is not as smooth as what mine is, then invest in one of those as well. You won't be sorry. They are really, really helpful. But as you can see, these gloves that I use keep my hands nice and flat, and reduce the tension and reduce the resistance as well. So I'm just going to get up to the point area where I can stop, so I can reposition my hums for the fabric. Stop. Okay. Make it look easy. Thanks so much for explaining. I have an old vintage machine, no start stop. Love those gloves. They'd be a must for me. Oh, Karen, they are. If you get them, Karen, you'll wonder what took you so long. What are on your hands? Janice, that's the gloves I'm talking about. These are the Marcia Baraldi gloves that I sell. They're $42. I can take orders for them, and you just send me an email. And thanks, Karen. I was just reading Karen's message. Thank you. And look, honestly, whether you're on a vintage or brand new machine, or one that's 30-year-old or whatever, or 10 years old, the gloves change your whole perception on what you're doing. They make it so easy. I've had these gloves now for, I reckon, about, oh gosh, 8 years. I've never worn through them. You know, some of them wear through. You know, because you've got fingernails through. And the other thing, you know what the other thing is? You don't overheat it. Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say, I don't overheat. The only thing that gets warm is the palm of my hand. But if anything goes up over my wrists, I end up with the hot flushes, you know. And the other thing, if I had to change threads, my hands are free. If I, hence the reason I end up going in the house with them and going to the bathroom, but because I forget they're on. Want to have a coffee, you want to change threads, put a needle in, you don't have to take gloves off, on and off all the time. That drives me balmy. Used to hate that, ripping them on and off, and I hate the hot flushes. So I don't get hot flushes with these. I don't, well, they don't cause a hot flush. I still get hot flushes, but they don't cause one. So yeah, I just find them such a benefit, such an asset to my sewing and quilting. I use them even when I'm piecing. You know, when you're putting the binding on, they're fabulous because you're sort of, when you're pushing your fabric through, they don't itch. No, they don't. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, thanks, Stella. When you're putting the fabric through, when you're doing binding, it's really quite thick and it can be hard to push through and hold on to. And these gloves, you just have them on one hand and then you just sort of, you know, guiding it through. But I find that because I've got the gloves on, I don't have to shove. I don't have to put pressure on it. It just sort of just goes through nicely. And I'm not straining my hands, because as soon as you're doing that pinching motion, that's when you're starting to strain your wrists and your tendons. So we're almost there. I'm on the last corner. And then we've just got those outside lines to do. So there's a couple of things I can do with those outside lines. I can do it free motion, just like this, and without a ruler. And I can just hope to God I'm straight enough. I'd be okay with that, but some others might not, and they might go, nah, I want to do it with a ruler because, you know, it'll be crooked, it won't be straight, I'll have to unpick it, it'll kill my OCD that I've got today. No, can't do it. So I'm going to show you with a ruler, okay? So that means I'm going to change my foot to a ruler foot, because this is definitely not a ruler foot. Tunk, 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 tunk. That needle must be so blunt by now. I will change it, I promise. I've said that before, haven't I? Oop. Started to chunk up on me, did you hear that? So these glamour threads you can also use with hand sewing. So if you like to do hand quilting or hand sewing of any kind, or embroidery or applique, these are absolutely able to be used with hand sewing, just saying. Alright, so needle up first, then foot up. I'm going to open mine up so I can pull that down, give myself a bit of length without putting too much pressure on my thread. Alright, so we've done all that inside. I think you did say that before. Well, I did. what did I say? Oh, can you do this on a vintage? I also have an old Bernina record with needle lever that would be better to try on than a foot pedal machine. I also got hot hands all the time. These gloves would be great. They are fantastic. I don't see why you couldn't do this on your foot pedal or your Bernina. No reason why not. I think you said a funny question. Could you use a walking foot to do? Absolutely, Suzanne. Absolutely. If you want to do it all with a walking foot, go for it. I just don't like lifting up and moving things around all the time. I like to just have it nice and free and move nicely. So I'm going to change this foot. So I need my screwdriver. I'll just put the foot down. This is how easy it is to adjust. And take one foot off to the other. Oops, days, if you just put the screwdriver in the right spot. Oh yeah, I did, didn't I? I think I said that last time I was doing this. I did change it eventually, but I do need to actually change it. Like, I really do need to change it. So the ruler foot I use is a westerly one. Sorry, I got fluff there. I'm just trying to get rid of. There we go. So I have to just get that screw right out of there. Oops, a daisy. I'm just going to put my foot back up. I have to put that on there. Probably can't see because of the angle of the camera. And put this one back on. Now, oops, a daisy. You can see that is going to be an issue. There we go. When you first start, it can be a little bit wobbly. Then what you do, make sure that's nice and loose, all right? So I need to have my needle in the center. Oops, a daisy, that way. No, I'm going to put my foot in, is that in the down position? That's the question. No, that's in the up. So let's go in the down position. I've just got to, might just keep that there. There we go. Just so I don't smash the needle. And I'm going to move it over. No, that's no good. No, no good. So back over there, and let's go move my needle over so it's in the center. Come on, baby. Just want to have a check. It might go over a little bit more. There we are. All right. Suzanne, yeah, so this is a what they call a decorative foot. So it's got the hole in the middle for couching. So it's got the plastic insert with a little hole, but it's a free motion foot as well. And it's a ruler foot. So I've got my foot in the down position. So see how that's up, then down. So what I need to do is, once it's in the down position, is just tighten it. I've probably got too much looseness. There we go. See how my needle's now in the wrong spot? So I need to lift that up and make sure it just moves over the fabric nicely, just like that. And I'll move my needle now. I'm going to go here. Beautiful. It was right. It's just that the foot was loose. There we go. Nice. So I'm just giving myself a little bit of, sorry, put the foot in the out position. All right, now I'll give you a heads up on this. If you have your needle down and then lift your foot up, you're going to smash onto your needle because the ruler foot is higher, okay? So I'll show you what I mean. So if I put my foot's down, I put my needle down, and if I lift my foot up, see how it wants to hit right there? So I have to have my needle up, and then I can lift my foot up, okay? All right, now I'm just going to grab one of the rulers that I've got in stock. I haven't even unwrapped it because I've got one of these, but I can't find the silly thing. So I know it's around here somewhere, but I'll find it eventually. So what I do is Now I don't have an open toe, obviously, because it's a ruler foot, so I can't see exactly, so my head is sort of over the top of it. And you can see some of that needle is grabbing that. I'm going to just put my foot down and just make sure it's not shredding, separating the thread. There. Alright, so it's going to go there and needle down. Alright. Now, this is actually a ruler foot for a long arm. It will work on a high shank, but see how it won't go underneath at the back very easily. So the ruler that you would need for a high shank machine are the high shank rulers. So this one I can use as long as it's on the side, not at the back. I can use quite well. And being the thickness of it, you can see the thickness of it. It's designed for the long arm, okay? But it'll work exactly the same. I'm just going to speed up a fraction, not much. And when I get to a point my hands have no longer got control, then I stop and I maneuver. You would have your table on, extension table, all right. Just going to do a little bit at a time. I'm just lining up the needle with the line. Oh, a bit of a grab. And then stop on the corner. This ruler is 28. Yeah, it's 28. I've got this one and another one. I've got two in stock. I can order more. They do keep them in stock. I can't imagine they would have run out of these rulers, but yeah, they're brilliant. I love them. I use this one all the time. And because it's still got its plastic on it, I don't need to put any, what's the name? What do they call them? The little thingies. Someone's sending me messages. I just can't read them while I'm sewing. So if you do one of these and you actually, you know, you get through it all, make sure that you follow the instructions on the packet for washing out. I haven't yet done it myself. I don't know whether they just wash out normally or whether you know, you've got to do that, whatever they say in the packaging. So I would just follow the instructions just for the pure chance they don't wash out on a normal wash. So make sure that you follow the instructions nicely. Just going to move over one more. There we go. And row 3. And you can see my ruler's not up against the line, it's up against the foot. That's so much easier than doing it by sight. Oh gosh, yeah, absolutely. Yep. When you do it by sight, you've got to move really quickly too. You've got to do lots of little quick movements, because the slower you go when you're doing it just by eyeballing, the more chance you've got of going wobbly. I'm just going to trim off that thread up here so when I get there it don't make a mess. This one over and off we go. And then now we've really just got one more row around the outside and she's done, baby, done. Ready to paint and go into something else. Fantastical. Spectacular. Not that I know what I'm going to do with it. And we're almost there. What you got to watch is that you don't create a pinch, so keep that nice and flat. Oops, a bit of a wobble because it came off my thingy. And needle up, foot up. Oops, daisy. I did a cut off, didn't I? Silly woman. Alright, it won't cut off, so no point doing that. That was silly of me. Alright. Won't cut off because it is too thick. Hence, why shouldn't I have done a cut off? Alrighty. Now, we've got one more row to go. So, I'm going to go this way. I know it looks weird because I'm going the other way, but I'm figuring, just figuring, that if I go the same way, I could end up with bunching, like some serious bunching. So I'm going to go this way, and hopefully I can keep it reasonably taut under there. Little bits. Did you see that little crab crawl I did with my fingers? Hey? You can do that too at home. Now it's making that noise because the gap between the fabric and the foot is too much. See how I can get a whole screwdriver under there? So I need to drop that foot, just saying. So loosen it, drop it a bit, tighten it up, and it'll slow down that noise and carry on. All right, so I want to get to that corner, but without making a mess. Only making that noise now when I stop and move my hands because it's in one spot for too long. All right, we're getting there. And you can see, even with a ruler, I still do that start in it with a couple of stitches first, and then I move my fabric, not the other way around. All right. So you can see it's working nicely. So far, so good. Right, we're nearly there. So in about an hour and a half-ish, we finished. I did do a bit of stop-starting and talking and stuff in between. And it might take everyone else a little bit longer and some a bit quicker, and whichever is fine. And there's no rush. There's no race, no contest. Okay, just enjoy it. one more row to go. Just got to trim off that thread that I started with. Where's my scissors go? I can see. I need to move into a one-room large shed by myself and less housework and people to look after. I'd have more time to do all my quilting stuff. That's what I did. Just about. I'm here a lot. So as soon as my hands get up into this position up here, I've pretty much, thanks so much for sharing, came here on the page, suggestion, timed it right for live. Now I have a new project to research and try out. Beautiful, thank you. You're welcome, Karen, anytime. So once my hands get up here, or they're too far down here or too far over and they're out of that little area, then I stop. If you notice, I always stop, and that's because I have absolutely 0 to 1 or 2% control. Okay, so I always stop, and you can see I've got to go back a stitch down this way to my right, just to catch that start of that one. And hopefully I got it because I can't see. Yeah, I did. So let's go needle up, foot up. I'm going to open that up and give that a bit of a stretch so I don't put too much pressure on that needle. Look at that, just like I bought one. All right, that there. I'm going to shove that up there. You can see we do painting and all sorts of things on this table. We love watching Michelle. She's so knowledgeable. Thanks, love. Thank you. There you go. There it is. Sveta, I'm using a Janome Memory Craft 14,000. Oh yes, I do speak layman's terms. I don't have very many technical words in my vocab. All right, so there we go, all done, ready and raring to go to the next stage, which I reckon it does need some paint. It is beautiful, but I think some paint. Don't know what I'm going to do yet and how much I'm going to paint it, but I'm going to have a play. So thanks for joining me, everyone. If you haven't, if you put an order in and I haven't yet got your details, please send me an email with your, a message with your email and postal address, and I will get to you over the next few days with your invoice. So thank you again joining me. Have a lovely Sunday, and I'll see you soon. Bye.